You're listening to the Sensuality Project podcast, where the messiness of real life gets sexy, hosted by Stacey Herrera. This podcast is intended for mature audiences only. Episodes contain profane language and topics of a sexual nature that may not be suitable for children. Listener discretion is strongly advised. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This is the first conversational episode of the Sensuality Project podcast. I'm so stoked. But before I talk about my guest, I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. This is the first conversational episode, so the sound quality is not exceptional. Look, I am winging it and figuring it out, so be patient with me. It's not terrible, but it's not as exceptional as I'd like it to be, so I'm working the kinks out of that. So that's my disclaimer. But my guest, my sister friend, Biba Atta, is going to be chatting with me today, and she is amazing. She's amazing. We just act up when we're together. We act up. We get along so fabulously well, and we just vibe like we play off each other's jokes. It's just I just have such a good time talking with her, and I know you're going to enjoy this episode. We cover everything from men, women, and feelings. We talk about closure. We talked about not-enoughness and having important conversations via email or text. Hello, we know that's a thing, right? We talk about penetration and self-acceptance and sexy playlists. It's all the things. I could go on, but I want you to listen for yourself because it's amazing. And this conversation is exactly what my vision for this podcast is. Light and fun, just two women talking about grown folks' business, okay? So give it a listen, and for all the links and references and resources and stuff that we talk about in this episode, you can find on the show notes page on staceyherrera.com. And share this episode with your friends. Yes, share this episode with your friends because I have big visions for what this podcast is going to be, and I want to touch as many women as possible. I want to give as many women as possible an opportunity to ear hustle on really juicy, expansive, delicious, grown women conversations. If this episode resonates with you, or if it doesn't, find me on the internet. Let me know what you think. I'm just excited. So I'm not going to talk anymore. Here we go. What color panties are you wearing?
You know what? I am wearing... They're blue.
What color blue exactly?
They are let's see. They are like a sky blue color.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Throat
sky
chakra
blue
and
today.
everything.
Yeah, well, that works. I am doing a podcast with you.
Right? Look, throat chakra. Look, did you plan that?
You know what? Probably not. But we just gonna say that I did.
Okay. Your unconscious mind be on point.
Right.
Just covering all of the bases.
What's going on. Absolutely. You know what? You want to do the blue ones today. All right, the blue ones it is. Like, okay.
Too funny. So how do you like to be kissed?
How do I like to be kissed? That is a great question. I like to be kissed softly, and I like it to be sensual, where there's like tongue play, but not where they're like licking your whole face. Not like they're a dog and they're just going too off the chain, but just like tongue play with tongues and light pecks and, slow. I like slower, like where you're really present with each other.
Yes, all of the deliciousness.
Yes.
Okay, last foreplay question.
Okay.
Now this one you gotta really think.
Okay. So no quick answers. All right, let me put my cheat sheet away.
Yes, okay. Let's see. After withdrawal, you lose interest. I get bigger after your deposit. Open me up and see how I grow. What am I?
I get bigger after your deposit. Ooh, man.
Look, and this one is right up your alley, so.
It is. I'm going to say I get bigger after your deposit. Probably, I was going to say the clitoris, but that doesn't even sound anatomically correct. Because how is it getting bigger after you, like, I don't know. Man, stumped me already. Maybe it is the clitoris.
Nope.
Not the clit. Okay. Bigger after your deposit. Heart?
Nope. And after withdrawal, you lose interest.
After withdrawal, you lose in penis.
No.
Oh.
Look, your mind is just so smutty.
Penis, clit, all that stuff.
you surrender?
I do, because I'm just going to go down that road. I can't even back the car up at this point. I can't imagine what non-smutty answer would be the answer for this. But
bank account.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
Bank account, like.
I lose interest after. That is cute.
Well, you know, that is some foreplay for your ass, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, that is. That is.
Lube you right on up.
Yes, bank account. Ooh, that's my spot.
Well, on the day that we are recording this podcast, this would have been my 22nd wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Right? Yes.
Oh, wow.
22 years today. Well, 22 years ago today, I jumped the broom the first time.
Oh, wow. How are you feeling?
You know what? I feel I don't feel some kind of way. I really never I think maybe I did the first, few years after after we broke up, but I really don't feel any kind of way about it. Had I not, honestly, had my schedule not been fully booked today, I might not have even recognized it, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so no, I don't feel any kind of way about it. But in sitting with it though, I was like, that's a really great, it's a good thing because I definitely had I was reminiscent of what my emotions were when we got married and also when it ended.
Okay.
And I remember, look, I'm sure I cried at both occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cried for both occasions, but so I did think about that for a minute. But I don't feel any kind of way. I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for the relationship. I'm grateful that we got married, and I'm grateful that we stopped being married.
Nice.
Yep, just gratitude. Look, thanks. Yeah.
That's nice.
Right? But, but because feelings are such an important part of being a human, but I definitely think that more weight is put on the feeling part of being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to say that that's a good thing, but most of the time when people talk about women and feelings, it's not in a good light.
No, it's not. It is not.
Yeah,
it's derogatory. It's an insult.
Absolutely, it is. Why do you think that is?
I think that is because, in all honesty, I think that there's a level of fear for emotions and maybe a sense of jealousy as well. And then it is that women can get in touch with their feelings, and feelings to a lot of people are very uncomfortable. And men are taught that feelings are bad. They're supposed to be a man. They're supposed to, they're not supposed to cry. They're supposed to act like big boys when their knee gets scraped or something like that. It's frowned upon for them to emote at all. And after a period of time, that kind of builds up. And I think that there are some men that would like to feel like it's okay for me to just be me. I'm sad my mom died. It should be okay if I cry. And society shouldn't frown upon me or think any kind of way about me expressing my emotions in this way. So I think because they don't really get an opportunity to do it without society frowning on it, then it needs to be bad for us as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that the narrative really needs to change. I think
Absolutely.
it's slowly changing. I mean,
I
it's
think so
very,
too.
very slowly changing, but I do think that there is an awareness now about, how women are viewed negatively because we feel, and how men are encouraged not to feel and to definitely not act like girls, So I think that,
Oh, God forbid.
right? Like,
Shed a
so I think
tear.
exactly, exactly. But I think that the challenge is I was just having this conversation earlier with our friend Jay, actually.
Oh, okay.
Um, um,
Love
we
her.
were right, like we were talking about how she was saying that she thought that men, we need to create more space for men to feel,
Yeah.
more space for men to be able to emote. And I was
Yeah.
saying that one of the challenges, though, is as women, we are not always great space holders for men's feelings,
No.
even though we want them to be space holders for ours. But,
Mhm.
oftentimes when a woman says, it's safe for you to tell me exactly how you're feeling, it's just tell me the truth. A lot of times what she means is, it's safe as long as you tell me what I want to hear. If
Yeah.
you tell me what I don't want to hear, your safety is not available. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You're
so we
right.
we if we really want men to be able to um, express themselves without reservation and without like a whole bunch of coercion, because sometimes we literally have to yank it out. But
Yeah.
if we really want them to feel free and comfortable, we have to be able to give them space to do that
Mhm.
without judgment, without
Mhm.
super, big giant reactions.
Mhm.
But before we can do that, we have to learn how to process our own feelings first.
Yep. I
Because
was
just
just getting
because,
ready to say.
right, we feel a lot, that does not
Yeah, we
mean that
do.
we are great at managing
The
feelings, our
feelings.
own,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We have to do our work. It takes
right?
a lot of work to be able to hold space, especially big space for other people.
Hmm.
Um, and even kind of going around the topic just a little bit, like even when you're in a space to coach people or you're counseling folk or you're healing them or you're teaching them, like you have these kind of relationships with other people, not necessarily a romantic relationship, but one in which you're helping guide them or help them process their own stuff. Like you have to be able you have to do your own work to be able to be there and hold space that's necessary for people that you're working with. It's not easy at all.
I agree. I agree. And even with your own feelings, because of course it's very challenging, not
Oh
impossible,
yeah.
but very challenging to hold space for somebody when you are avoiding your own feelings.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? Like,
Pretty much impossible.
right? Like, it's if you're avoiding your own stuff and not really sitting in your own stuff, the reason that is hard is because you can't really have a conversation with somebody else about feelings without them reflecting back yours. And
Mhm.
it gets close for comfort really quickly when you
Mhm.
keep seeing yourself in these other people's things. In fact, like sometimes you end up just triggered
Yes.
as opposed to being able to be helpful or supportive.
Mhm. Mhm. You're right.
Oh, the messiness of being a human being.
The delicious messiness.
Right? It
That's what
it
we're here to
is.
experience.
It is. It is. But I guess now after I don't know how not to do the work anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um I wish I could say that I like that all the time, but I do not.
No,
Like
no, it's not fun. Nothing fun about it.
at all, at all.
Nothing fun about it. I don't care how much you do, how many changes you've noticed, how your life is different. You're always, as long as you're living, there is work to do. The minute that you're perfect and there is no work is the minute there's no reason for you to be here. So there's always something, and you will always continue to be stretched in the work that you're doing. And when you're stretched, of course, that feels so bloody uncomfortable. It feels so bloody uncomfortable. And it's like the more you know, now when things happen in your life that don't feel so good, because you now understand about having to do the work and energy and everything else, you look at it in a different way and you're like, there's a learning opportunity here. I just want to be pissed. I just really want to be angry about this thing. I really don't want to, and I want to sit in it. I want this anger to like propel me to get off my ass and go to the gym, or propel me to just tell these people to take the job and shove it, or propel me in some way. I just want to be mad and I want to hold on to it. I don't want to process it. I don't want to find out where this is coming from that's triggering this situation because I've completely blown up. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to just be mad. You know what I mean? But once you know more, it's like there's something within you that's just like, okay, no, you can't just sit in that. It doesn't feel right to just sit in it. You got to do something else. Acknowledge, feel, and then there's work to be done here. You're like, I don't want to do the work. I don't want to do it. But you get to a point and it's just like you can't not do the work after a while.
Well, I've had an interesting experience where I feel like I had some heavy feelings toward a particular person,
Okay.
and um, and I feel like I have let go of the heaviest portions,
Okay.
but
hmm
I am not ready or interested at this time
hmm
in forgiving the other person,
hmm
and I feel really okay with that.
Okay. But that takes
Which
work.
I was a little bit conflicted at first, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was
Yeah.
like, okay, if I'm saying that I let it go, and I feel in my body, it feels like I let it go,
hmm
but I honestly, in my mind, I've said like, this person better not dial my number. I better not get a text. You know what I mean? Not because I want to go off though. I don't feel
hmm
like I want to go off. The reason that I don't want to be contacted is because I know I'm not ready to forgive.
hmm
And because of that, I don't even want to put myself in the position where I even have to have a conversation with me about whether I should or shouldn't.
hmm
Because I don't want to right now.
And yes, but that takes work.
Yeah, I'm like, look, mm-mm.
See, even the way that you're having this conversation, you just like, it's so mature. I'm just not ready. I've let it go in my body, just not ready to have this conversation and do this particular thing. But you're also not saying it will never happen,
Yeah,
which is what
no,
a lot of people say.
mhm, no, I'm not saying never, but
hmm
right now, mm-mm.
That's a no. Let's move on.
Exactly, exactly. But
But there's a difference. But
yeah,
there's a difference in how you're even communicating about this. Other people who are not used to doing the work or don't tend to do the work are like, this thing happened and I'm absolutely not forgiving this person. I will never, and will hold on to that forever. And
hmm
whether they talk to him ever again or, it's just going to eat away at them. You are not having the conversation in the same way at all.
Oh well,
So
thank you.
even
I feel
though
much better
even though
now.
you're like, I'm not doing the work, I don't want to do, but it's still different.
hmm No,
It's still
definitely,
different.
because I don't think like the woman that I was, even a decade ago, would not have even been in the space of being able to say like, okay, I let it go. Like I'm not harboring any
Mm-hmm.
resentment or bitterness, but I'm not evolved to the space of being able to surrender and actually be able to say, I forgive this person.
Mhm.
Just right now, I've forgiven the deed,
Mhm.
and I have forgiven. I know it wasn't ill intent, so I've
Mhm.
forgiven that,
Mhm.
but I have not forgiven the fact that it actually happened. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
all of the, I haven't done that. It's just like it did happen, and I'm still a little rubbed and peeved about it. Actually,
Mhm. Yeah. But
it's just
listen to
not
how you
taking up.
said.
Yeah, it's not taking up any. It's not taking up any headspace.
Mhm.
It's like I don't, had we not been having this conversation, the person would not be part of my dialogue.
Right.
But because history is so great about repeating itself,
Yes, it
I do
is.
know that the person hasn't disappeared indefinitely.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That. Yeah. Yeah. You just made it clear that you do not prefer a conversation at this time,
Exactly.
but you do know that there is something that's coming.
Probably eventually.
Preferably
But
just not now, because
yeah, and
you're not about it right now.
right. And because I finally let it go to the point where I'm okay if it never happens.
Mhm.
As opposed to me rehearsing what I'm gonna say when it do happen. Like you know what I'm talking about. Right.
Bitch. I
I'm
never
not
liked
doing
you.
that. Yeah, I'm not
Right, in
doing
the
that.
mirror with the finger pointing and cussing somebody out after you get out the shower. Yeah, yeah, you're not doing that. But yeah,
No.
the way that you're communicating, again, is the way you're communicating is in such a way that's obvious that there has been some work that's been done. Now, it might not have been like I had to write a whole journal entry about this, or I had to go to energy healing and get healed of this. It's just the way that you managed to process it on your own, and every little step that you've taken is a way that you are letting it go. You just haven't gotten to the point where you're like, I forgive this person. But
Yeah.
I mean, this is the progress of that happening at some point, just not now, but at some point. It's a possibility. You
Mhm.
haven't just completely shut the door at her, whatever. You haven't done all of that.
Yes. Honestly, the part of me that isn't ready to forgive is actually an evolved part of me. And this is why
Mm.
what I used to do
Mm.
was I would get so caught up in helping the other person move through whatever it is that I would
Mm.
completely abandon myself.
Mm.
Where I'm so you did something to me and now you feel bad about it. And so I'm now taking care of you and then nobody's taking care of me.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
as this is actually this is actually part of my work just because now I'm like, no, my feelings are important and
Mhm.
I not only do I not have time, but it is not my responsibility to manage your feelings, but it is my 100% and my first priority to
Mhm.
manage my own.
Yes.
Even if that looks like me saying, "I'm not ready to forgive your raggedy ass yet." Like
You bitch.
right?
Can't leave that off just for GP.
Exactly. Exactly. But I think that it's important for us to acknowledge that, like the work doesn't always look like light.
No.
Sometimes the
No.
most spiritual thing you could do is be in the dark.
Yeah.
And it's really important.
Mhm.
Because sometimes we think that it's all about, that it's supposed to look all neat and tidy.
No.
But I went camping over the weekend. It ain't nothing tidy about nature.
No.
The shit is
It's
messy,
beautiful. It
right?
is.
It's
Beautiful though.
chaotic. It is not, there are no neat rows. Like
No.
the vines are like not trying to stay in their own area. Like,
No.
it's,
No. Like,
but
Bugs, don't you see me here?
thank
You got
you.
a whole park.
Can I tell
Why?
you, there were 3 tents. The only tent that got attacked by ants at nighttime was mine.
Oh, see. Just disrespectful.
Right. Then I'm like, when I set up this tent right here, wasn't an ant in sight.
And here y'all
Now,
come.
sundown, and they weren't like little picnic ants either.
Oh no.
These were
Mm-mm.
them,
Were the
Wheaties
fire
eating
ones?
ants. They were black, but they looked like they was eating Wheaties.
Not the Wheaties eating ants. I'm so mad.
Just big, just big.
Pumping iron on the weekends.
Exactly. The
Gotta
only
get my
good thing is
gains.
they were so big that they were too big to come in, the mesh part of the tin at the top, whereas those little
Okay.
bitty ones could get through, so they couldn't get
Yeah.
in. But
Like you got
but
a
yeah,
big ass
those
head. That's the only thing to see.
exactly. But those
That
ants did
saves
not
y'all.
care about how neatly my tent was set up, sitting on top
No,
of a little tarp
could
and
care less.
everything. They didn't
Mm-mm.
care.
Mm-mm.
Because
Not at all.
that's not how life is. So I think
Mm-mm.
sometimes we get too caught up in trying to like make little neat bows. Like,
Yeah.
let me just tie this up in a nice little neat little thing,
No.
and it should look pretty afterwards.
Mm-mm.
No, it's
No.
not always like that.
No. It could end up being duct tape and chicken wire.
Thank you.
Literally. It could look like that. It could look
Look,
like
and
some
chewing
stuff
gum.
popped off. Yes. And some gorilla glue that you found. Like
And I
it could
tell you
be.
how Gorilla Glue is the business though.
It is. I
It's
know.
very potent. But go on.
I'm not gonna ask you how you know how potent this gorilla glue is.
Well, it's a very neat story, actually. A
Oh,
very
okay.
PG story about,
Oh.
a pair of shoes and a pair of
Hmm.
glasses that were able to
Oh.
be recovered as a result of Gorilla Glue.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy to report there was no genitals involved.
That's good because again, it is potent.
Yes, yes. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. Like, that is one experiment that I do not need to test.
Yeah, no, that's not cute. It's not cute at all. But I
Oh, I got a
mean, but
visual.
it's like that.
Go on, go on.
But it really is like that. It could be that a situation happens and it's just jagged all around this whole thing. You're feeling a certain kind of way. And then let's just say you do forgive this person and then something else happens and you're partially jagged. And then you break out the Gorilla Glue and the duct tape and you take some stuff together. You're like, okay, well, I can let this go. I'm not ready to let this other thing go. We're just going to let this float behind the boat. It doesn't look pretty. It's not a matter of something happened, I forgave this person, and Shangri-La, leprechauns, rainbows, and a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Like, that's not how it usually looks. It really doesn't. Stuff
Exactly.
it just happens, and it pops up often, almost like, okay, so did you really forgive this person? Let's test it out just a little bit. See how buoyant this thing is, to see how strong these straps are. Oh, no, little weak over here. Little weak up. Well, nope, that just broke off completely.
Right?
That's what it seems like. Something happens and you think you're good, and then a test comes along. Just back another year later, just trying to see if it's still holding together. Oh no, this whole thing fell apart. Damn,
Right?
that was you know what I mean? Like that's how it looks.
It's a mess. What do you think
Yeah.
about what's your opinion about closure and the need for it?
Closure. Ooh. I think closure is really important, but I don't think closure has to look like what most people think of closure as being.
Hmm.
I think that a lot of people think that closure is, let's just have a sit down conversation like two adults and just, rehash a couple things, have an understanding, wish each other well, and make it clear that this is the closure. And then
I love your therapy voice, by the way.
I should have my glasses on with my little notepad and my couch.
Right?
Yeah, it's like that's how they're thinking it's going to be. Again, they think it's going to be something that's really neat. But there are people that don't get to have closure. If you are angry or something happened between you and someone who has now since passed away, what kind of closure can you have? You can absolutely have closure. It's not going to look like now I can sit down with this person who's recently passed away and have that moment. Some people can move away. Some people could decide they don't need closure with you and then leave you hanging. But there has to be some way that closure occurs, and it doesn't have to be a sit-down conversation where there's an understanding between two people. Closure could happen where it's just you and you've made a decision and there's closure on your end. It doesn't have anything really to do with the other person, but I don't think that a lot of people think of closure that way.
I agree. So it really is about acceptance of what is true for you.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's it.
Yeah,
It's
I
that
agree.
simple.
I think when I hear, and because it's something that women say a lot when it comes to
Ooh,
relationships.
yes.
I didn't have any closure, or I need the closure. I need to see him one more
Mhm.
time,
Yeah.
because I need closure. But
Mhm.
what I really hear when I hear people saying those things is, I want to give this other person one more chance to make it
Mhm.
different.
Yeah, to fight for me, to show
Hmm.
me they care, to show them what they're missing, to make sure that this is what they really want to do. But notice how the onus is put on the other person,
Hmm.
even though there's supposed to be closure. Like you are
Hmm.
relying on, and you know in your heart when something is done, but yet and still, unless it happens the way that you want it to happen, where this other person, in essence, gives it to you by showing up, by listening, by having a conversation, by agreeing, by whatever. Like the onus is completely on the other person. You've now
Hmm.
put it on the other person. So yeah, since you put it there, it's kind of hard to have closure when it's their responsibility because that's what you've made it. But
Right.
really, the closure is your responsibility.
Hmm. I agree. I love how you worded that,
Oh, thank you.
and I agree 100%. You're such a genius.
Oh, takes a genius to know a genius.
Um, okay. Okay.
You know how we do. You know how we
Exactly.
do.
One double OG to another,
Exactly. Exactly. That's how we roll.
Exactly. I agree. I agree. Well, let's have a little bit. Now we've had foreplay. We've had, I guess it's time for intercourse.
Oh, all right. Let's get to it. Let's do it.
Well, what's your favorite position?
My favorite position is I actually like missionary.
You know what? Well, I like to be on top the best
Okay.
because, it's just so great for clit stimulation and things like
It
that.
is. It is. I like
But
it up there. I do like it.
I like it too, though. I think it's very underrated.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, missionary. I do like. I like that a lot.
What's your craziest sex blooper?
Oh man, craziest sex blooper. I'm trying to think of something. I might have broke a bed once, or yeah. I think I broke something, or we broke something. I can't remember what it is.
Okay, what's your best sex tip for comfort and ease? Like, what's if somebody was like, I really feel like I want to just have really easy, comfortable sex, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that that is possible. Two things, and I mean, the two things aren't necessarily that sexy, but definitely makes for the kind of sex that you want. One is communication. If
Mm-hmm.
you were on the page that this is going to be a nice and easy night for me, and he's been drinking Jack and watching Sons of Anarchy, then maybe he has a different idea about how the evening is going to go down. So it would behoove you to have a conversation and let him know, what you like, where when you do this thing to me, I love it when you do this. It makes me feel what in my body. Look, those kind of conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Just have a conversation and let him know, because he's not a mind reader. Now, if he's banging out and you're just like, oh my God, in your head, like, this is horrible, and you're acting like this is wonderful, then what kind of message are you sending him? That you enjoyed this, and he's going to try to do this again, and you're going to have to suffer through it because you have not let him know that this wasn't the move. So
Mm-hmm.
communication is the first. And secondly, you have to remember to breathe.
Thank you.
Oh my God, we have got to remember to breathe. And I'm very guilty of not breathing, but I've learned so much from, again, doing the work, and breathing has made like a huge difference in sex now. It's just unbelievable how something that you do every day is now
Mm-hmm.
like tantamount to like some great, great sex. Because if you're breathing, you really are present with your body. When you're
Mm-hmm.
breathing, you're not in your head. You're not thinking about, oh my God, my stomach is jiggling too much, or my legs I'm not as flexible as I used to be, or I wonder if he thinks that I'm too fat, and all these other things that you have going on, rummaging around in your head that he could really care less about. But you have it in your mind. That's your story. And you're not really fully enjoying it. It's not easy if you're in your head, period. So by breathing, you are in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
it does something.
we are such great storytellers.
Yeah. Oh my
I
God, the
mean,
best.
I can't even believe sometimes the stories that I make up. And
Yes.
I just feel so much relief when I hear other women making up stories so that I know it's not
All the
just me.
time. Oh no,
Um,
it ain't you. It is not you. We are all Walt Disney with you.
right? Such great storytellers. Like, and I think that it's interesting that no matter what the story is or what triggered the story, it always I'm sure there's some exception, but I've never seen it. Um, always boils down to the same thing, not enoughness.
Yes. Yes.
Like it all like I don't feel lovable, which is
Mhm.
basically I'm not enough
I'm not
person
enough.
or whatever to love. I'm not worthy, which is
Mhm.
basically again I'm not enough. You
Mhm.
know, I'm not small enough. I'm
Mhm.
not, meek enough. I'm
Mhm.
not confident enough. Whatever
Mhm.
it always boils down to the same thread.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And somehow this is my fault.
Mhm. Mhm.
Anything that happens during the situation, it's somehow my fault. He actually can't perform today. It could
Mhm.
be that it's stress. It's a lot of stress at work. Stress is a silent killer of many things, including male libido. It
Mhm.
doesn't have
Mhm.
anything to do with you sometimes, but because he's not able, the first place you go is he can't get it up. It has to be because of me.
Mhm.
Has to be my fault.
It's so fascinating.
Mhm.
Have you ever had an experience where someone couldn't get it up?
Oh, absolutely.
What was that like?
That was, of course, pretty much just like I said. I thought it was my fault,
Mhm.
and then of course that makes me want to work harder. So okay, well, what do we need to do? I need to bring out some
Right.
lotion. Do I need to run my hands under warm water and get to work? What do I do now? Like I'm working extra hard here to help you out, and that's because I think it's my fault.
Mhm.
Now, if that were to happen now, I don't believe those kinds of things are my fault. And let's just say they are. I don't really care. So
Right?
it may be my fault, but that's not my problem. So two
Right.
different ways of looking at it. It's
Mhm.
your problem, so you will get that together. And if you need my assistance in getting that together, then that's one thing. But I'm not going to be guilty about you and your situation over there because I'm ready to
Mhm.
go. You know what I mean? I've been ready to go.
Right? Well, and I really think that those situations they should be, and they aren't because we no one told us, but they
Mm,
should be invitations for us to get more inventive about and to expand our definition of what sex is, because
mm,
so much of the time, well, the story most of us learned was that sex is penetration, period.
yeah, period.
And
You're
if
right.
penetration doesn't happen, it's not sex. But if
Mhm.
there is, if maybe because sometimes it's he can't get it up, or sometimes it was over too fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mhm.
And in those instances, like the one time, over too fast happened to me,
Mhm.
and my response to that was, "That's only one kind of sex. Let's try another kind."
Nice.
Like, there are other things. Like, I really love your hands.
Yes.
Like, I
We can
really
do
like
some
your
other things.
mouth.
Yes.
Like, let's try a different kind.
Yes.
And because it doesn't have to be over, because
No.
that part of, like, that was one act,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to be the whole show.
Yeah, not the
In
whole
fact,
play.
it doesn't even have to be part of the show if you don't want it to.
Right. Right.
But I
Right.
think like our narrow definition of, I know that was what my definition of sex was. Like that was my understanding. Even
Mm.
though we use, oral sex, anal
Mhm.
sex, but in our minds, penetration is what
Is
we were
it?
taught is sex.
That's it. That's
But
it. Period.
exactly, no
Full stop.
more, nothing. Um,
Yes.
so I think like we have to really, our egos though are
Mm.
not
Mhm.
always like theirs and our own don't always allow space for us to expand and allow for something for it to look different.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
because the ego only has one station, not enough.
Right. Right. Right.
That's the only thing playing on repeat. Like the DJ is off for the day, and and
Right.
left one record.
Right.
You
DJ
know,
not enough.
right? Exactly.
Didn't leave enough records.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that when it comes to like not getting it up, that I think is such a huge thing, and because
Mhm.
sometimes it is medicinal,
Yeah.
maybe there's a medical problem or whatever, or
Mhm.
but even then a lot of times it's completely psychological. Like
Absolutely.
I have a friend that was married and was convinced that he was impotent for
Mm.
like 4 or 5 years or something,
Well, that's crazy.
and
Wow.
taking Viagra wouldn't work, and
Oh.
then you know got divorced. And wouldn't you know it, it wasn't his penis. Because your body can't lie to you, right? Like your body
Yeah.
cannot lie to you. So his body was saying, "We resent this woman. We do not
Mhm.
want to be inside of her." Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
like there
Can
was
we
because it was
exit stage left
exactly,
immediately?
and it was completely psychological,
Mm.
and because his body was really his body was actually you know, pr- like protesting, like
Yeah. It
like
was
what
on a
you
Rage Against the
right
Machine mission.
exactly like what we ain't
That's
gonna do,
extreme. Yeah,
right?
we ain't even going for 4 or 5 years. Wow.
Yes, look, what we ain't gonna do is fuck her. So just get that right out of your mind. Like, and I don't, and I'm in no way implying that their relationship was on the skids because of her. I'm not implying that. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, but the story that was happening was we resent her,
Mhm.
and we are not. Our body is not going to talk to her body.
Mm. No, not today, not never.
Exactly.
Mm. 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years.
Whew.
Where he had just actually settled into just accepted like that he was going to have a life that did not include sex for the rest of it. That's what he had just acquiesced to that.
Yeah, I would say that he had to if it was 4 to 5 years and he was still there.
Hmm. Well, you know, raised to think you're supposed to do the right thing, and the
Yeah.
right thing is to stay in your family. And so that's what
Mm-mm.
it looked like. So
Wow,
and
a
and
sexless situation.
I would love to think his situation is unique, but it is not.
Not. No, it's not.
It is not. And again, not to say that not having sex, you can have a happy relationship and have sex not be in it if that's how it like I was just reading, I can't remember a book, and there was a woman who was talking about how challenging menopause was for her and
Mm.
how her body, it changed so much, and lubrication was a thing, and dryness was a problem, and she didn't want to have sex that much anymore,
Mm.
and her husband wasn't that interested either. So
Okay.
they have a very healthy and expansive relationship that just doesn't include penetration.
Okay. I was about to say,
I
but any
Yeah.
kind of sex?
She didn't say, so
Okay.
she didn't say, I'm gonna just say penetration. The
Okay.
reason I say that is because it doesn't even mean that maybe they're not doing anything with their genitals, but it doesn't mean that they don't like kiss and hug and
Mhm.
touch and
Yeah, yeah.
so but for them that was okay, and they were
Mhm.
happy with that, and there's nothing wrong with that
No.
if that's what you want. But if you are in a relationship where that's not what you want,
Mhm.
and you would like to be sexual, and I think that in the medical community, I think that there's a huge disservice that's being done, because when it comes to stuff like erectile dysfunction, especially in somebody that is not taking other medications, so you can't blame it on nothing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is a otherwise healthy person. I think that the medical industry does people a disservice by not exploring the emotional causes of conditions. Nobody asked him, are you having any heavy feelings? It's
Right.
just like, here's a blue pill, take it,
Right.
however long before you want to do it, and
Right.
it
And
didn't
it
work,
can cause you, to die, heart attacks, and all these
right?
other side effects.
Exactly. But it didn't even work, and even when it didn't work, they still didn't nobody asked him.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think that that's really unfortunate.
It is.
Not to mention, do you know that most therapists cannot provide unless they um have a whatever their PhD is in, but most therapists cannot prescribe medication for depression or those kinds of things. But a medical doctor who isn't asking you about your mental health can prescribe you medication for depression. That makes no freaking sense.
At all. But I get
That,
it because
you
it is a
know,
business. I think people
exactly.
forget that business is a part of everything. You send your
Hmm.
kids to a school, school is a business.
Yeah.
You go to the hospital and they want to charge you $150 for an EpiPen, or $1,050 for an EpiPen. And you're like, but people are dying. And they're like, but it's still going to cost you, $1,050 for this thing. That's because it is a business. And the medical profession and industry is a big business. It's a lot of money in not asking certain questions to keep people coming back because they, quote unquote, need these medications. Oh,
Hmm.
that didn't work out. Let me give you another one. That's going to cost you X. It's a business.
Hmm. Well, you know what's a bigger business than medicine is death.
Oh, yeah, there is that. Everybody's got to go.
Yep.
Everybody's got to go.
Yep.
It's going to cost you.
Exactly. And
It's
and
going to
and
cost you.
they're in cahoots together.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Sleeping in the
You bring them in,
same
we'll send them
bed.
out.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. I could go on and on about my feelings about the medical industry, but I
Yes,
will
you
not.
and me both.
Right, but I won't. It's not that kind of show.
No, because we could go there.
Exactly. Exactly. Like the frustrations are endless. I
Oh
do
my gosh.
believe in dental care, however.
Oh yeah, that's very
Um,
important.
but dental, it's expensive. Like it's cool if your teeth is right. If all
Mhm.
you're going for is a cleaning every 6 months, it's the business.
Mhm.
But look, don't need a filling or root canal.
Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Completely different experience if
Yeah,
you
you'll
do.
have nothing left in that bank account.
I mean, and dental insurance, the maximums are never enough to cover real dental work.
Oh, please. It's almost
Mhm.
laughable
It
what they
is.
cover. Like,
It
well,
is.
you know what? I'd rather just pay the extra $50. Like,
Yep,
what kind of coverage am I getting, really?
absolutely. Long Story Short is an advice column for achy breaky hearts, curious libidos, and desperately seeking humans of the female persuasion. If you're looking for straight from the hip advice, because emotion loves to settle in the hips, you're in the right place. Long Story Short provides real world advice for women like you. Why? Because sometimes you need a little perspective about the shit that's going on in your life. Submit your long story short to bit.ly/long story short advice. So here's a quote from Esther Perel, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Love her.
Your level of self acceptance is what changes your sexuality.
Mm, juicy. Awesome quote, first of all. And I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. And I'm living proof of that. Not that everybody's had my life, I've only had my own, but it's true. I mean, when I started off, as most people, or women per se, growing up in this society where our self-esteem is just battered and bruised from the time that we open our eyes in the morning to the time that we close them every day. So we go through life a lot of times feeling like, again, we're not enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm too this. I'm not enough that. And in having these sexual experiences, it's like we don't get an opportunity to turn that off. Just the idea of we are chosen by someone because they believe us to be desirable, which says that if you don't think or if you don't choose me, it means that you don't think that I'm desirable, not because you really have a test going on, not because you don't have the money to take me out, not because you have your own fears about being with me, but because I personally believe that you don't find me desirable. So circling back to the answer to the quote, when I didn't have self-awareness and self-acceptance, I found that I absolutely did not enjoy sex that much. Like, it was an exercise. I didn't fully get to experience it. I wasn't present with my body during it. And as a result, it was not one-sided, but it was pretty mundane. Mm-hmm. There wasn't that much experimentation, or the experimentation that was occurring was more so, well, maybe this will get him to be more interested. Or maybe he's, when you get those books, 401 Ways to Pleasure Your Man kind of thing. So it's not necessarily something that I got pleasure out of. It was more so something to do that will make me stand above the crowd so that he will never want to leave and all these other things. Or he will think that, bow down to my feet because I'm the man because I do all these wonderful things. Mm-hmm. But as I became more of who I am and accepted myself more, accepted my body more, accepted my abilities, then I was able to relax more into my body and fully explore my sexuality without boundaries and without expectations and without judgment at all. It's amazing. And I know they have, there's so many books out there, self-esteem books and, self-acceptance and self-care, all this stuff is out there. And then you read the first line and they tell you how important it is. And you're just like, but you're not telling me how to do it. And then they give you like exercises and you don't necessarily think that stuff works. But really, it does work. Once you learn to accept yourself as who you are, it's a game changer on so many levels, not just your sexual life and your sexuality, but just in your own happiness. It's hard to be happy when you don't really love yourself or you don't really accept who you are, faults and all. Faults and all.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that it's easier to be happy or sexy?
What? Happy or sexy? Oh my gosh. I have no idea.
Look, I don't even know why I asked that question. It was based on what you said. I don't know where it came from.
I have no idea. I don't know which one is easier. No, probably not happiness. I think maybe sexy. Because I think that I'm going to say sexy because happiness is something that you hope to have throughout your day. And if you need everything in your day to go well to be happy, then yeah, that's going to be a little bit harder. But sexy, I know for me, I'm not really thinking about me being sexy unless I want to be sexy. Like if I purposefully want to be sexy, somebody's coming over and I want to be sexy, or I'm going out someplace and I feel like I want to be sexy. I can turn on a hot Beyonce video or a song that really gets me there, or I can put on a certain outfit and kind of have a whole come to Jesus meeting with myself about my level of sexy, or whatever. So it's something that I could most people can turn it on and off. But it's not second. I don't think, for me, it's not second nature. I don't think about it that much. Happiness, I think about all the time.
Good answer.
So yeah, that's more work.
Well, now, since you mentioned it.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Where the hell we going now?
Okay, so your boo is coming over, You done took a bath and you're smelling all good and the candles is lit and you even cooked because you already know he's going to do an amazing job and you want to feed him.
Oh shit. Okay. Are we cooking?
You,
Okay.
you just want to make sure that he leave with a full stomach after providing you full pleasure. This is the plan.
Oh. Okay.
So 3 songs for your sexual experience. So 1 song for the foreplay, one
Mhm.
song for the intercourse, and 1 song for the afterplay. What's on the playlist?
Oh shit. Okay. Let me rub my hands together for this one. For the foreplay. I have the intercourse song for sure. The foreplay song, I like this song, Marsha Ambrosius.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a number of songs that I really like that are really great for foreplay. And I can't remember the name of this song.
Look how it go.
Like it's like over you or something. It's like she's not really saying that much, but the music is light and she's like moaning in the song and it's just nice. I'm trying to think of something else, like
I
another one.
enjoy her though so much.
Yeah, she has some great songs. There's another one. There's Most Def did a remix to the Isleys Beauty in the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful, and he's singing on it, and the music is great. It sounds like the original, but he has the way his voice hugs the song. It's really sexy. So I think that would be a great foreplay song. I like. There's a song for intercourse. I like the song by FKA Twigs. How's that feel?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I play that on repeat and usually anytime I play that song, like I'm feeling myself. So again, doesn't take much to feel like, okay, I feel like I want to be sexy. That's the song I go look for. So yeah, absolutely that song for foreplay, for intercourse. And afterwards, I want something light, probably something without any words. Probably, what's a good one? There are a couple of something without heavy bass, like a nice R&B song or some jazz song or something like really simple, where you just kind of, I like to cuddle. I want a spoon.
Yeah, Little Miles maybe.
Yeah, stuff like that. There's been trying to think. There's a Robert Glasper song that I really like. I really like him as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so talented, and he has different types of jazz. He did this song, well, it's a little heavy bass, but I still really like the song, with Jill Scott. I think it's called...
I think I don't know the name, but I know the song. I know what you're talking about.
Kind of like You're Always There. Oh, you always answer my calls when I call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jill Scott's a good one. I like a lot of her stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, gotta love Jill. Jilly from Philly. Just like nice and easy.
You've got great taste in music. You're just...
Thank you.
I'm just so smitten with you every time I talk to you.
I know. It's a whole love fest every time.
It is. I mean, I'm not a gay woman, but if I was, I'll be hollering.
We'd be married with cats.
and I do love cats.
See? Yeah, totally be married. We would be married right now.
Right?
I would be concerned if I lived on your coast. It's almost like, thank God the country is in between us. Because I practically living at your house. I swear. I tell my mom this all the time. I'm like, so I talked to Stacy today. It's probably really good. She's all the way out on the West Coast. I wouldn't have a job. Really. I couldn't work if you lived on my coast. I'm sorry. I couldn't.
You know, we probably would hit up all the wine bars.
Oh, we would. Without question.
And we do yoga on Saturday morning.
Perfect. Can we do brunch on Sundays?
You know, I do enjoy. Yes, I do enjoy brunch. In fact, the next time you come here, I went to this. What's the name of it? I had brunch not too long ago at a place here, and it was so cute. It was so airy, and the food was so good. And for the life of me, I can't think of the name of it. But I'll message you because maybe they have. Maybe it's not just a California place or whatever. But
nope,
they had
I'm not going
brunch.
Without you. So
okay.
You don't get. You just need to have that in your head.
I did cheat on you with Mendocino Farms for a very, very long time after you left. Because the first time I ever went was with you, and then I was going every single Monday for quite a while.
You cheated on me?
I did, but then I stopped. I stopped. But then a couple of weeks ago, I did go back, but just one time.
Just one time.
Just one time.
Are you going now? You're not
I don't
going
have any
now?
plans to do it again. It was just,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna try. I'm
Yeah,
in recovery.
don't break my
Recovery.
heart like this. Don't cheat on me like this.
Just know
That was
that
so hurtful.
it wasn't my intention to disappoint you,
Okay.
but I'll do my very best. That's all I could say.
And I can accept that because I just love you so much.
I appreciate your acceptance. I do.
Yeah, we would be a perfect couple. We'd have like the coolest arguments.
Right? I love to disagree with people that know how to do it. I think that
Right.
disagreeing in any relationship, even in friendships, I think that is more important than how you get along.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really appreciate when talk to me in your regular voice when you mad. You know what I mean?
Right.
What you yelling for?
Right.
Why you got to
Exactly.
talk to me like that? Why so much
Right.
bass in your voice all of a sudden when you falsetto and now all of a sudden you Barry White? What is that about?
Yeah. And why are you talking so fast?
Right?
Why? This is not fast car. You're not Tracy Chapman.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
need for you to slow it down so I can really process and get what it is that you're saying.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you said that. What is your opinion? What is your opinion on if you have something really important to say that you want to make sure that the other person gets it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's inappropriate to send an email?
Ooh, that's definitely a good question. I think
I mean, and I've been guilty, so go on.
I think if it is very important that the other person gets it, that I don't want to necessarily leave it to chance that they are going to misinterpret something that I've typed or that they've read from me. It's like the equivalent of sending a text with the little emojis and they're not getting that really you were joking around and they think you're serious. And the same thing with email. So if it was really important, then I would want to have a conversation, even if it's a phone conversation, they can't see me or something in person.
Well, do you think that sending an email and then following up with a phone call is appropriate?
I think that's doable.
Like, what if you got bullet points? Like you really, I really want you to this just for clarity.
So it's like, okay, send, call. So I just sent you an email. Let's walk through it together.
That's doable, right?
That is doable. It's like I didn't read it, so you probably just should have called me in the first place. It didn't even get to my inbox. Oh no, there it is, right there. Like we've been talking now for 3 minutes. But
right?
Yeah, you could just tell me what's going on. But no, that's an option too. Write it out and then have a phone call for clarity, or maybe in the message, like at the bottom, let's have a conversation to talk about this further. Or if you have questions or something, I think we should talk about this. Call me when you have time or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. When I did send the email, I was taking the chicken exit. At the time. I wouldn't do that today, but I did do that. Now I would opt for a conversation, even if it was super uncomfortable, just because, like you said, so much can be misinterpreted. And again, I feel like the email leaves a lot of space for people to make up stories.
It does. So does.
Because a conversation, I can squash the story before it gets momentum.
Right.
But on an email, like you got time, you got all as long as as you have all the way up until you hear my voice to be storytelling.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, she put the comma there,
right?
So as a result of that, it's a pause here. So that pause has to indicate, like, really.
It's look, I read your email, and quite frankly, it sounded like you had attitude to me.
Really, an attitude? I was just
with exclamation points.
And I'm so guilty of that. Like, I'll put 1,000,050 exclamation points. That's probably like my favorite punctuation.
Look, that's my, I know it's mine. It is definitely mine.
I'm like, I just need to be able to hold my finger down on it, and it just keeps going. I hate having to keep tapping it in order for it to. Yeah, no, I get really over the top with exclamation points. I really do. Yeah, sometimes some people don't really get it, and I do want to use caps, but I know that means yelling, so I work really hard not to do that. But the caps that I would use, that's my level of excitement. I don't use caps to like really telling somebody off in an email. Like, I don't think that's really appropriate, but I tone it down with the caps, so that means I'm toning down my excitement because I don't want someone to think that I'm yelling.
Right. I'm right there with you. These are bookish problems, bookish problems.
Exactly.
Bookish problems. This has been so fun.
I know. I'm loving this.
Look, you're so easy. But I mean that just figuratively.
Yeah, let me not misunderstand you. What you mean I'm easy? What you heard out on these streets?
Yeah, just figuratively. Just figuratively. One last question. Now this is aftercare. What is the best after sex or post sex compliment you've ever given?
That I've ever given. This is probably not the move, but I'm usually one to tell jokes and have fun. So I have been known to talk about orange cones around the bed and high five and stuff like that. Like, you put it, or I can't move, like I'm going to have to roll off this bed, which is that good. Probably the one experience where it was one of the best sexual experiences I've ever had, where I orgasmed like 4 times. And it was like every orgasm, I felt like I was higher and higher out of my body. And to the point where I'm like, where is this? And am I supposed to be up here?
Right.
And wait, this is so beautiful. And I'm not in my body right now. And then I came down and he was chilling. Like, I'm like, I don't know what the hell is going on, because I never had that kind of experience. So when I came out of it, I broke out into tears. So I would think that is such a compliment, that I felt that comfortable to even travel outside of my body, one, and to show that level of vulnerability, because that's not something that I usually do. And in that case, I probably would have preferred not to cry like that, but I was just so open and raw. And emotionally overwhelmed by that experience. Not in a bad way. Like I said, one of probably the best. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that was the best. Just pure awesomeness. I would think that would be kind of heady for any guy. Like, damn, I made a girl cry. Like, you know what I mean? Man, I put it down so hard. She wasn't even in her body anymore. I don't know where the hell she went. Like, you know what I mean? I am the man. I do things big. I should get a testimonial. I should get her to write me something real quick while she's still not around in her body. He will take you to the stars, literally. You really will see stars. And the universe and galaxy and all that. Yes. Like, yeah, absolutely. I think that was probably the biggest compliment.
That is definitely a grade A compliment.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because if a sun tear comes out,
look, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Listen. And if it's an avalanche of tears, you have touched something deep.
All the things.
And all the feels. Whew. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. I have enjoyed you. I always enjoy you, but
of course, absolutely.
This right here, I'm gonna need a cigarette. I don't need to smoke. I don't need to smoke.
And I'll just go ahead and plan our wedding. Right? I'm going to send you some swatches for dresses, and we'll talk about flowers after the call.
I think Casablanca lilies is my choice. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, no, we can go with that. What's the budget, though? We got to get the budget together before we start buying a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, I think that we should thrift store it. I think that would be really it's repurposing and upcycling and,
Yeah, that's my language.
green friendly. And I
Okay,
think that
okay.
that would be a really, I'm sure we could find some really great mix matched, place settings for a small
Okay.
party.
Yeah.
Probably we could get cups for 50 cents. I think it could be really economical.
I think that could work perfectly.
Different china patterns,
Oh yeah,
all the
creative and fun at the same time.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
easy on the wallet.
And then
My language.
when we're finished, we can put those items that we used in the wedding up on eBay.
We can
get our money back and then
get our
some.
money back. Exactly. I like where your head's at. That's exactly why we're the perfect couple.
Exactly. Look, return on the investment, double time.
We are all about that.
Look,
and we can use that money for the vacation of life.
Exactly. Somebody's going to listen to this and steal that idea. Watch.
I know. Son of a bitch.
I know. Look, and we're not even going to get credit.
At all. It's okay, but we know. We know.
Maybe I'm going to put intellectual property in the show notes just in case.
You probably should. Because some thieving bastard's going to show up and be like, that's the best idea ever.
Look, can't have nothing.
Should have never gave him money. Should have never gave him nothing.
Exactly. Can't have nothing. Well, I thank you so much. I love you, sister.
I love you too. Thank you so much for having me. This has really, really been a great conversation, as they all are. Without
agree.
Question.
All the deliciousness.
That's right.
The Sensuality Project is produced, edited, and hosted by me. Music by bensound.com. The Sensuality Project podcast is a production of StaceyHerrera.com.